Today is a very, very big day for multiple different reasons. The day you're watching this, 3 things are happening. Number 1, motor and transmission should be going back in the NSX. Number 2, today is the last day of 2024. And third and final, the second that you're watching this video, the first Boston apparel drop of 2025 is live. Right this second. Now wait, there's more to it than just that. As you guys know, I never ever do sales. But for this drop, and for this drop only, the entire website is 50, not 5, not 15, but 50, half of 100, 50% off. What I wanted to do for the start of 2025 is take all of your guys' favorite designs. So we have STI stuff, Evo stuff, the Drip V stuff, Chase Your Dream Car goodies, and a bunch more stuff. Bring all of that back, and it's now available on the website. So if you've ever missed out on anything that you wanted, head down and click the first link in the description box. Every single thing on the website is 50% off. That is ridiculous. The tees are only around $20. Hoodies are less than 40 bucks for the nicest apparel you'll ever see. As always, thank you guys for the support. Hope you had a great 2024. Let's get into the video. Good morning, my friends. Welcome back to the channel and welcome to another K-swapped NSX build video. I built this motor right around a week ago. It was complete and ready to go in the car, and we were waiting on one last part to arrive, and that is the ACT clutch. There's a few other little pieces I'm waiting on, primarily the ATI crank damper that I ordered. It's actually on back order and it's supposed to ship out here in a few days, but that's not a problem. We can easily get that swapped out while the motor is in the car. But of course we cannot install a clutch with the motor and the transmission in the car. So that was the last thing I was waiting on. I did actually already have a different ACT clutch here, and it was a single disc. It was rated for right around 350, maybe 400 foot-pounds. And I had ordered that when our engine was supposed to stay stock. Now, of course, it's not even close to being stock anymore, and we're going to be making a whole lot more than 400 foot-pounds of torque. So I went ahead and returned the single disc ACT clutch and ordered up this bad boy. Let's get this thing opened up and let me show you what I got. This here is the bad boy that I ordered, T1RR-H04. This is a twin disc Cint iron race kit. Now, they do say not recommended for street use due to harsh engagement. Now I know all about that because that happens to be the exact clutch we run in the all-wheel drive K24 Type R. This car is just a touch over 800 wheel horsepower, mid 500s foot-pounds of torque, and I must say, this clutch impresses me. So we got the exact one for the NSX project. Now I find this pretty interesting. I have the scale out here. I was doing some weight comparisons. So the ACT twin disc clutch with flywheel weighs 15.5 pounds. Now just a factory flywheel with no clutch weighs 15.5 pounds. I'm betting a factory clutch probably weighs somewhere in the realm of 10 to 15 pounds. We're saving so much weight, rotating weight and mass, by going to the ACT setup. And surprisingly enough, contrary to what I initially thought when I put the clutch in the Type R, they actually drive really, really nice. They don't drive quite as good as the ACT Mod Twin, but ACT doesn't make a Mod Twin yet for the K series. So this here is the next best option. Now, unfortunately, before we put the motor and transmission and clutch in the car, I made a pretty critical error while building this motor. And this thing needs to come back apart. We don't have to pull it all the way down, but I did make a big mistake, and I'm glad I uploaded the video and I got a million comments and messages about it. I don't know exactly what would have happened if we ran the motor as is. I do think it would be fairly low on oil pressure, but we need to go ahead and remove the oil pan, oil pump and baffle and fix my big mistake. All right, this right here is our mistake. We plugged the wrong hole. So when you pull off the factory K24 oil pump, it has all the balance shafts and whatnot, and you go to a K20 oil pump like we did, so we can rev higher, better oil pressure, stuff like that. You're supposed to pull out that jet right there and plug that hole. Now right next to it is another hole that I plugged that probably goes to nowhere. I'm guessing it's just a mounting location for the K24 oil pump, if I remember correctly. So we need to pull that out, pull out our little jet that is right there, and plug that hole. That may or may not be threaded. From what I understand, some are threaded, some are not. I do know on the K24 that went in that car when I did the K20 pump, the hole was threaded. So let's pull out the bolt, pull out the jet, and see what we need to do. Went ahead and applied some RTV sealant and a crush washer, installed a bolt in the proper hole, so that is now plugged off. Now we can go ahead and reassemble this motor. That was the only thing I had to fix. The engine is now complete once again, this time with the proper oil galley plug plugged off. Now we can focus on getting the clutch onto the motor, transmission onto the motor, and go ahead and get this thing dropped into the car, or I guess you could say drop the car onto this. There are a few goodies we need to install on both of these before we mate them together and put the assembly in the car. The clutch with the throwout bearing, rear main seal, axle seals. Gonna go ahead and toss on an oil filter, get our plugs in, and we need to get the motor mount on this side. So let's go ahead and get all this dressed up, and then we can meet them together and drop it in the car. The engine is now ready for its clutch, and the transmission is all prepped out, ready to go onto the engine. Now with the clutch, of course, we're running ACT twin. We have a few other extra goodies to go along with it. So these are the 4-piston ARP. They call these the heavy hitter, I believe, bolts for the flywheel. Much needed, would highly recommend. And then they offer this diamond claw. It's a very, very thin, like abrasive piece of metal that goes in between the flywheel and the crankshaft. This guy helps prevent the bolts backing out, which if you guys remember on the Type R, they actually did back out with all OEM stuff. So that's why I highly recommend this kind of stuff now. And not to mention, if the bolts do back out and your flywheel is moving back and forth super fast on the crankshaft, it will eventually weld itself to the crank, destroying the flywheel and the crank. And this guy will prevent that. And it's only like 50 bucks. We got to make sure our crankshaft is very, very clean. Now we're going to take the diamond lock claw and slide that onto the crankshaft. This thing is so thin. It's not enough to affect anything, any sort of alignment. It's so thin. So that guy goes on like that. Now we take our flywheel and put the flywheel on. I do like to Loctite all of the bolts, even though these go to 130 foot-pounds versus the factory 76. Still, I don't want them backing out. It causes a lot of problems. Next up is the pilot bushing. It's just a little collar on this motor, not a bearing like the Subaru boys are used to. Flywheel is torqued to 130 foot-pounds. Pilot bushing is installed. We are ready for our nice little twin disc. I do like to Loctite these as well, for the same reason. I don't like stuff backing out. This thing is now complete. Everything is attached. It took a while to get the transmission onto the motor, just trying to get through the twin disc splines and all that, but finally got it situated. And now we're ready to get that in the car. I do need to go ahead and pull out the subframe assembly. This whole unit will come out as one piece. And surprisingly enough, it's only held in the car with 4 bolts on each side. It is so tempting to just grab an impact and rattle all these bolts loose. But then the zinc plating will probably get a little bit scratched up and it'll all be for nothing. The plan is to set the subframe assembly on the table, pull the table out of the way. I'm just hoping that doesn't break. This whole assembly is so light. Pretty much everything here is aluminum, besides that bar cross member up there, and some hardware. That's crazy. This is gonna go on a pellet, and then I'll slide the pellet under the car and attach the motor mounts, and we can see how this beloved, fully restored drivetrain looks inside of the freshly painted engine bay. Now, I'm not no professional, but in my non-professional opinion, man, that is a pretty decent looking engine bay. Of course, we have a very, very, very long ways to go, but man, just seeing this fully refreshed drivetrain sitting up in the bay, that is a good way to end 2024. All right, my friends, that is gonna be a wrap for the day. Waiting on a lot of parts to move forward with this project. We still need to sort out the shifter cables, the clutch hydraulic system, and of course, engine management and all that good stuff. But hey, we're making good progress. Hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Hope you guys had a great 2024. We did a lot of cool stuff in 2024. Hopefully more cool stuff in 2025. That's a wrap. Good night, be safe, and I'll see you guys in the next video.